And if they don't come, we've got Michelle. What?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome everyone to our Monday Coffee Table Consciousness, where we're going to be chatting about how really the question is, how do you know your heart's desire? Because often we can get quite confused by whether the head is speaking and the rational mind or the heart is speaking. So do you want to start, Lou, or should I go?
Oh, I thought you were going to start because you have some amazing stuff.
I'll start. Okay, so I think the way that I know whether it's my heart's desire or not is when there's a lot of story. Like even if I'm tuning in and I've gone into innocence, if there's a story, that's how I know. Like the ego tries to convince you that this is why you should do this. This is when there's a lot of X, Y, and Z, but how are we going to get that? And do we need to phone this person? When you're in the story of it, already figuring it out when you're already in the process. That's how I know. So you catch yourself quite quickly. That's a sure sign. I hear somebody coming in. When you're in the process, then you're not aligned. So, and then another sign. Hello, welcome.
Hello. I'm Louise.
Hi.
Coming in. Okay, so let's just mute. Okay. So a short sign is the sign from your the feedback from your environment, because when your life is working with you, for you, so, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. You can feel the ease and the effortless of your creation. Or, people, you'll be at a cafe and having a chat and you bump into someone who's got a solution for you, or, just magic starts to happen in your day, in your month, in your life. So not to say that everything is hunky-dory and very easy. I mean, some things aren't. Also, we have a lot of resistance that comes up when we are actually following our heart's desires. But you can feel there's more of an ease and more of a flow in how you're creating. So an example of that for me is that I was living in South Africa for 2.5 years, taking care of my mother. And I really got it true my mother wasn't doing very well. So it was it pulled on my heartstrings whether to stay with her or whether to come back to the UK where my kids were. And I did a walking meditation, a Joe Dispenza walking meditation, and I just sat in my car and I asked my heart, right, what is it true for me to do? You lead and I'll follow. And I just got it so strong was to go back to the UK. So I came back to the UK. I hadn't even thought, where am I going to live? How am I going to afford? It's a housing crisis. Rent is very expensive. In fact, coming back to the village where I'm living, where my kids live, my ex-husband said to me, you're not going to even find anywhere to live. So because it was my heart's desire, and funny enough, I'm actually living in one of his apartments, I was like, well, I'm sure we'll figure something out. But my point is that I didn't have a solution. I didn't have all the steps laid out. That it was cheap for me to be in the UK, even though my mom wasn't very well. And in fact, she passed away 4 months later. But all that it was just really true for me to follow my heart. And when you do follow your heart's desire, there's so much more that comes out of it. So much more magic is created, because I could have really been in my fear and gone, oh my gosh, where am I going to live? How am I going to afford this, this lifestyle? It's much cheaper living in South Africa. And as it turns out, I've got one of my really best friends, Ellen, lives 30 minutes down the road from me. And she's got a whole spiritual community of, people that we actually know from Natural Success, and women that she's met outside of Natural Success that she's trained, because she's also a coach in this work. So I basically just stepped into a beautiful life and a beautiful lifestyle just by following my heart's desire. It was just go back to the UK. And it was so strong because I've been practicing this and I'm trained in it, that I don't ask the question anymore. I'm like, right, okay. And so, also one thing that we live by, Louise and I live by this motto, is no action without intuition. If you are taking action based on your rational mind and what you think you need to do, then things are going to be a lot harder for you, because the mind has a lot of stories. The mind has past experiences. Also, the rational mind starts to try to figure everything out based on the information from past experiences that it has. Whereas when you are in your heart, you're truly connected to your higher self, you're connected to the divine, and you are on the timeline that is going to really be of service to you. And then obviously what happens after that is like so much more magic that you couldn't even, your rational mind could never have imagined that. Like I didn't say to myself, well, I'll go back to the UK, but I definitely want to live near to Ellen, and I definitely want to, you know, have a spiritual community. Obviously that was an intention of mine, but it wasn't like a non-negotiable or a deal breaker. But I got everything and more that I you know, that I was even asking.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was a bit like that for me coming back to the UK as well. Pura Vida. Pura Vida doesn't know me or my story. I don't know if Michelle does either, but I have family in the UK and I have family in Australia, so I'm quite torn. And whilst I was in Australia for the last time, I was over there between 20, oh my God, I can't even remember the dates, 2019 to middle of last year. And my son's there and I was there, and then we had the, you know, the pandemic. And the first year of that, my granddaughter over here got placed into a children's home. I won't go into the whole story, but it was really quite awful. And I couldn't leave Australia because the borders were all shut. And I just held my vision for 2 years or 3 years or however long it took, that I would get there at some point, because every time I spoke to her on Skype, she'd say to me, Nanny, when are you coming home? And it was, you know, and I could have gone into, how am I going to do this? How am I going to, you know, how's this going to happen? And I was not somebody who had a medical intervention, and so I was not. In order to leave the country, as somebody who did not have a medical intervention, I had to jump through so many hoops. And a lot of people I knew had actually got turned down, and were not allowed to leave the country. But I just held that vision. I just held that vision of, I'm already there with my granddaughter. I'm already there. I'm already seeing her. You know, that was the vision I went to sleep with at night in my head. And that was because I was following my heart, obviously, because my heart was, you know, was desperate to be back in the back in the UK so that I could see her. And it all fell into place for me so easily, which was nothing short of a miracle. Nothing short of a miracle. I mean, I had a friend who was actually dying of cancer, and she wanted to go back, and she had not had the intervention either. And she wanted to go back and die in New Zealand with her family. And they turned her down something like 5 times. Which before they actually let her out. So you know, if you're following your heart, if you're actually listening to what your heart wants, like Sherin was saying, everything just seems to fall into place. But if you're in your rational mind and you start worrying about, well, how am I going to do that? You've never, you know, there are a lot of things. I mean, for an older person, which I am, I keep going backwards and forwards on a shoestring, and somehow I get there. And it all turns out. I didn't know where I was going to live when I got back here, but it all worked out. I didn't know what I was going to do, where I was going to be, how it was all going to go. But it's all working out because I wasn't wasting my energy worrying about how it was going to be. I just came. And the rest is history. Hello, Alejandra.
Hi. I think another ingredient to that, so you get the, you know, and what we do is, and I don't know, you know, the kind of work that you do, but what we do, the work that we've been taught, that we teach, is we tune into our heart. So, you know, I will always put my hand on my heart when I'm making a, you know, even a day today. We're going to give you a beautiful tool at the end of the class, of the session. But this is what I do. It's like, that's how I know, like, I put my hand on my heart. I take a few deep breaths, intentional breaths into my heart, and I just ask the question. So maybe we can do that now. So if you just think of something that you've been maybe questioning or that you need an answer to, and just bring that into your mind's eye. In fact, just put it into your heart. Just pull it beautifully and nurture it into your heart with love. And then just take a few very deep breaths and pull that energy back into your heart, the energy that's been outside of you all day and worrying about the week or the weekend, but bring all the energy back into your hearts. And just place your intention and attention in your hearts on that problem or issue or something that you need an answer to, and just ask your heart. Ask your heart whatever you need to know. And you go with the first flutter, you go with what you get. It may not be what you want to hear. So, you know, when it's rational mind, when you're starting to get a story or hear a story or excuses or a plan. And if anyone would like to share what they got, and if they felt anything different to asking questions before, like maybe with their rational mind.
I'm not sure, because I was thinking today, what is it I want to do with the rest of my life to make me happy? It would make me happy, give me peace and fulfillment. And somebody suggested something which I'd thought of before. So that's what immediately came to my mind. So I don't know whether it's because I actually thought about it earlier in the day, or whether is what my intuition or my, what would really make me happy. I was trying to imagine if that vocation would make me happy, really make me happy. If it,
okay. So would you like to share what that is, and we can just get a little bit.
I mean, at the moment I'm teaching English and I'm hating it because I'm teaching teenagers and I'm very unhappy. It's very stressful, and and I've only been back in the country about 3 months, so I'm just still adjusting. And a friend of mine suggested like dog walking and pet sitting, which is something which I have thought about before. And it kind of made me think maybe I should look at this more seriously. And I was trying to think, so there's a lot of competition out there, but I guess I mustn't let that stand in my way if that's what I really believe is going to make me happy. And I think I would enjoy it, but I'm not quite sure. There's something holding me back, and I'm not quite sure what it is.
Well, what tends to hold us back is what's happened in the past, and so we live mostly as human beings referring to the past. And the thing with tuning into your heart is about because the things from the past tend to come in and close our heart a bit. The heart is an instrument. It is our intuition. It's an instrument of I don't know what it's just an instrument. and if your heart is closed, which happens as a result of all the things that has happened to you in the past, and we hang on to those things in our energy field.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that can make your heart, because it's a magnetic instrument actually. And so that can make your heart close down a bit. So tuning into your heart, we're going to do some stuff throughout this evening, but have I? Oh no, am I back again?
Yeah, you're not frozen to us.
Okay, you're back. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Connection is unstable. That's annoying.
Flip. Anyway, the heart is we can learn how to open the heart up.
How?
Well, we'll get onto that later.
Okay.
But also, it's important to live each day with intention, and that intention that comes from your heart. which is what we will, don't worry, at the end of it, we will leave you with tools, and we've got a beautiful exercise that you can do, that you can practice. And the thing is, it is practice, because a main ingredient to this is also faith. You know, you start to have faith, but you've got to have the confidence to know that this works, that your heart is leading you and guiding you to where ultimately is well, your heart's design, what would make you happy, and what would, you know, lead you to a life that you love living, that you love to express yourself every day, express your creativity and the creativity of your heart, actually. But what we've been so trained to do is that we want to have the evidence first. It's like, okay, well, I'll go and I'll do that, but I want the evidence first. Show me that that's going to work, and then I'll listen to my heart, or then I'll do the exercise. But it's important we have to have the trust to open our ears to hear that little flutter, because it's a very small little voice initially, isn't it, Lou? Like when you first start, like it's such a small little voice that you're like, oh my gosh, what was that? Was it? And then suddenly the ego, we're so used to hearing the ego that we don't, yes, that we're still listening and feeling through the filters of our past experiences. So I heard this beautiful thing the other day, and this guy was doing a meditation, and he said, you know, we're so used to having all our senses up here, you know, our eyes, our ears, our mouth is up here, and our, you know, obviously this is where we sense the world from, and we listen and we speak and we see. But he said, if you take your eyes and your ears and your mouth and you place them in your heart, and then when you're in your day, or when you start your week, or you start your day, you set the intention to listen and hear and speak from your heart. So that already is setting up an intention for the day. So it's creating a different energy. It's creating a different environment already. So your environment is going to start looking different if you're seeing the world through the eyes of your heart, if you're listening to the world through the ears of your heart, and then speaking and communicating from your heart. Yeah. So it then becomes much easier for you to start to trust the communication from your heart, because everything is here now, and you can start to gauge whether you're in the world up here and disconnected from your heart, or whether you actually are in your heart.
I think that's the problem. That's the problem with our Western civilization and how we've been trained. Is we've been trained that the rational mind is God almost. You know, the rational mind is what we have to use. But the rational mind is the thing that takes our energy away from being embodied. You know, the embodiment of embodying our energies. The rational mind takes us up into our brain. But if you can get down into your heart and begin to embody, then that in itself just opens up the heart. And actually, it's also really good for your health, because disease and illness and stress and all of that is caused by people being totally in their brains and trying to understand things. But if you let it drop down into your body and you don't struggle to understand, but you just let yourself receive what is, it kind of takes away all the anxiety about whether or not you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Total sense.
Yeah, and also, you know, I've been doing this work for quite a few years now, but I don't ask my friends advice. I don't ask my family advice. I tell them what I'm doing, because I don't need to ask anybody anything anymore. You know, why would I? Because I'm only going to get their experience of the world. I'm going to get their experience of life and the things that happened to them when they did that. It's like, oh, yeah, because people they care about you. They want to protect you. So when I was coming overseas, you know, my sister was like, well, who's going to look after mom and what's going to happen to her? And, you know, that was not my journey. That was my mother's journey and what she's chosen in her life. And then I had to be true and follow what was true for me. You know, it was I couldn't just say to, do you think I should come back to the UK? Do you think I should leave mom? You know, I got it true to leave. It felt very settled, and I felt very calm and very at peace, which you can imagine it's quite a big decision to leave a sick parent in a country and then move from South Africa to England. So, and I've been looking after her for 2.5 years. So it wasn't just a light decision that I was just, you know, this is it. It was definitely a heartfelt decision. And I even tuned into the date that I was supposed to fly. You know, everything worked very effortlessly and very, I can just, the word is really, it's effortless, because things start to appear and help appears and opportunities appear, and circumstances and situations just seem to, like Lou was saying, like it's not stressful anymore. It's like you're not second guessing, you know, wringing your hands, second guessing, like, is this true for me? Am I making the right choices? It's like siphoning energy out of your body. And so it becomes very clear and very evident when you start to have a lot of these situations where you are following your heart, and they start to work out for you. It's much easier to then go, okay, when you're starting to look at the bigger things, like let's say moving to the UK and leaving a sick mother at home, start to trust that I have faith in that, because I have a lot of experience of when I first started out and I didn't have any faith and I didn't have any trust, and I had to literally be in the unknown and following this little flutter in my heart that I was making the right choice for myself. And also what happens is you end up it has like a ripple effect on people in your life, your children, your co-workers, your friends. You know, you have no idea the ripple effect it makes when you are living and following your heart desires.
Yeah, and the rational mind has a noisy voice. The rational mind's voice is noisy. It gets your attention, whereas the heart is a much quieter, like Sherin said, like a little flutter. So it's much more gentle. It's a much softer voice. And so as humans, we tend to listen to the loudest one, basically, you know, the one that gets our attention, because we're not used to focusing on what's in our heart. We're not used to that. We're used to looking at facts and figures. We're used to ticking boxes. We're used to looking for strategies and looking for what makes the most sense. And, you know, and so we become cut off, you know, which is why a lot of people find it really hard to speak their truth, because this heart center is, you know, where your heart's desires are, what you love, and the throat center is where you speak what you love, where you speak your truth. And that's why a lot of people can't really say what they want, because it's like we've got this sort of thing in the way here that stops the energy from flowing. In a lot of people, not everybody, but to me, yes, still to a certain degree, you know. I'm sure if I was totally enlightened, I'd be marvelous, but you know.
And it's also important, you know, Joe Dispenza talks about it a lot, is the coherence, heart and mind coherence.
Yeah.
You know, we have to be able to establish that connection and communication between the heart and the mind. And when the heart and the mind are working together, because obviously the heart is informing the mind and the mind is informing the heart, and then there's this beautiful, you know, interaction between the heart and the mind. You can't just go, I'm just going to listen to my heart and I cut off everything here. That's not how it works. It has to be coherence and communication and connection. And the way to do that is by using intention, you know, by being intentional about your week. So what we do when we're coaching is you know, on a Monday, you tune into your week. So you can either put your hand on your heart, you can step into a beautiful golden circle, any way that you drop into your heart, ground yourself and drop into your heart, and then you tune into the week. So it's like, when you're tuning into the week, you're in the unknown. You're not in the known. It's like, I've got to go and, you know, post this thing at the post office, and then I've got to go do that. I've got to go do that. That is rational mind. There may be some of those things may come up in that week, but then a lot of other stuff is going to come in too. So when I first started doing this, I got to go have a swim to I don't know what the other thing was. There were a few things in my business week, and I thought I don't have time to go for a swim. I don't, and I was in East London, so I was like, I'm not swimming in the East London sea. It's freezing cold, but I did it because it was on my list. It was on my list of things to do. So I just followed that. And then for the week that I was in East London, I couldn't wait to wake up at 6 o'clock and go and have my morning swim. It was absolutely incredible. Now, I would have never just decided to put that into my week. Oh, I'm in East London, let me go and have a swim. It came intuitively, so I just followed through on that. So can you see how powerful that is? And then what you do is every day you tune into that day. Like, out of this week, what is important? What is it most relevant or important to have closure on today, or to tick off today? Because your heart is guiding you, your heart is leading you. And so that thing, everything else will open up for you. Where you thought you had to go to the post office, or you had to go collect the laundry, or I don't know, whatever it is, but everything just opens up for you, so that you're not trying to shove everything into your day that is being guided by what you think you have to do, all the shoulds and the coulds and the need to and the must and the, when you start to hear the conversation, you're in your heart. And this is a really incredible tool and a beautiful structure to have for your week, and then every day tuning into that, because you're being intentional. And this is how you can practice listening to your heart and being guided by your heart. That's a start. Instead of like going for the big things first, which can be sometimes quite scary, like, just leaving South Africa and going to live in the UK, leaving your mom. That's quite a big, scary jump to make. But if you just start with a small thing, like, is it true for me to walk the dogs? Or, if you have got a job for walking the dogs and something else for the week, what are the days that are going to be of service to me and to others? It's reciprocity. It's putting something out and getting something back. It's not just you just giving, doing without actually making sure that is being in service to your heart, or what is true for you, what would actually really truly make you happy for that day. We've just got to ask the hearts. And that's a really good structure to guide you and to hold you in that energy.
And we've got a really good, there's a really good exercise that we do, which if you're, you're looking at a situation, the set A, set B thing. Yeah. There's you look at it, yeah, we can do it now, but you look at a situation from your rational mind and see what objections come up, see what problems you can envisage, see
the fears,
the fears,
yeah,
and the resistance, and then you can look at it from your heart's perspective. And it's a very nice thing to be able to just do.
Yeah. Let's do it now. We can all do it, because we use this a lot, actually. I've got a business coach, and she uses this a lot. Like, every time we're going to market something or put a program together, she go, right, let's do set A, set B. What's coming up for you? And then you get to put that down. You get to just put it down, neutralize it. So it's not also when you do set A, set B, the fears and the what is it called?
Resistance
to resistance are stories in your subconscious mind that are playing over and over and over again. Once you name it, you release it, so that you name it. You could even do this by bringing something into the light, something that's really bugging you, bothering you. Do you set A, set B? What are my fears? What are my reservations? What's coming up for me? And then you neutralize it, and then you step into your vision, right? And then you can stay in the energy and the end results of your vision. So then you have like a higher agreement with something, which is obviously also your heart's desire. So there's lots of different ways that you can master living from and aligned with your heart's desire.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Let's do the exercise now.
Okay. So I know what I'm going to do it on.
Okay, so you'll just think of something that is a problem, or something that's maybe you self-sabotaging, or you're stuck with, or like you said, Puravida, like, is this true for me to do this work, this line of work? Anything that comes up, just sit with it and then write that down. And then Lou will just guide you through the process.
Will I? Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, with your set A is all the fears, the doubts, the objections, the what ifs. So have your situation and then just look at it from the point of view of your set A, which is all of that, and just write that down. And then when you've done that, let me know. And then we'll move on to the set B.
Okay, and also what those fears, doubts, and reservations want you to do, like the action that it wants you to take. So for me, like a lot of times I sabotage. I take myself out in the way that I'm inconsistent, or I don't make the phone call, or I had a lead, but I dilly-dally, and then the lead goes cold, you know. So that's what we mean by that. So
Yeah.
just write that down. And if you are watching the recording, you could just, this is a time when you could just do this exercise now. So you don't have to just sit in silence watching us, right?
Okay, so I'm done with my set A. So when everyone's ready.
Yep, I'm ready.
Ready.
Okay. Would anyone like to share?
I'll share if you like, but if anyone else wants to share, that's cool too.
Anyone else?
You first.
Okay, well, my conundrum is I have this granddaughter in a children's home who has learning difficulties, and I'm thinking of applying to be her guardian. But at the moment, the things that get in the way of that is I don't have my own home at the moment. You know, do I have enough money to do something like that? Can I cope with her? Can I cope with her problems? Will it be too much for me? Will it curtail my freedom? Will it be too full on? Am I too old? I'm going to be 70 next year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all of mine.
Mm.
And what does that make you want to do?
Scream. It sort of makes me feel like a rabbit, a stunned rabbit in the headlights, to be honest. It makes me feel unable to either go forward or back. I'm just stuck in this holding pattern.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else want to share?
Mine were, I'll fail, I'm not qualified enough, I don't know where to start, or what I need to do. I'm not fit enough, and I'm too old.
Okay. So then what does that, what action does that, or what's the outcome of that?
What do you mean? What's the
Well, where do you put your energy? Like what does it make you want to do or not do? Or
well, when I put it down like that, there are some question marks, and there are some of them I think I can see the other side. But you know, I think I'm not fit enough, but well, maybe it will make me fit by doing all the walking. So, there's nothing I can do about my age, but maybe it will be good for my health. I don't know. I don't know where to start. Well, that's an easy one, just one step at a time, I guess. I get overwhelmed easily overwhelmed at the beginnings of things. I'm not qualified. Well, I could find one or two people to make a recommendation or take a photograph. I don't know, it makes me start thinking about. And
but it's great to write that down, right? Because then you're already finding the solutions. It's not, you're not taking up time with just going how it's already getting you stuff like it's like, oh well, actually that's not what I really believe. I can do this or I could do that.
Yeah, you start to see ways forward.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Other one will go. Alejandra?
Hi. All right. Let's see. For me, I have a bunch of fears, doubts, all that stuff about sending in self-tapes, which is how we audition. And I hate it. It's such a direct line to the anxiety. Like it's just like I just stop breathing, and then I can even get excited about something, but then I put it off till I miss the date. Like I wait till but that's how I've always procrastinated, because like you're saying, I get so overwhelmed by the rational steps, and then the times you've done it where you're like, well, I was rejected because I never heard back. So it's like it never gets easier, even though I know you're just like have to look at it like a numbers game, doesn't matter, but you're like, it's just kind of heart-wrenching every time and waste of time. So then I put it off because I don't want to waste anyone else's time with their help. I don't want to have to put on 5 hats just to do the part I want to do is the audition, but I have to figure out the technology. And then I get so frustrated when it doesn't upload. And it's just like knowing you're kind of putting yourself in a very, for me, stressful situation every time is like, I'd rather not. So then I don't do the audition, and then I don't, it's like, so that's what I
so that's quite destructive, isn't it?
Yes.
That's kind of
very self-sabotaging. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So it'll be great to know that we can step into the vision, the higher vision of that.
Are you happy not to share, Michelle, or do you want to?
Yeah, so mine's financial. So mine's sort of like I've recently got a job, and I love it. Like it's like something I really enjoy it. But the problem is the pay is just sort of gets me by, but it's sort of like I just want sort of more, but I love the job sort of thing. And just in general, just like the finances sort of worry me. And so it sort of just leaves me, I spend a lot of time in my head worrying, and it just makes me like not really enjoy stuff because I'm always thinking, oh, I've got to, I'm really overly cautious and constantly worried about how much I've got for this and that. So it just sort of robs away like any fun. I feel like I'm just constantly in my head and just worrying.
Thank you. I understand that one.
Yeah. Also, so you can see like when we're in our rational mind, how dysfunctional that can be. Like we're here as creative beings. We create everything in our lives. We're super powerful. We're supernatural beings. So you can see the dysfunction of the structure when we are just in our rational mind and we're not in our hearts. So that was the first, the first bit of that exercise, to actually see what it causes us. Like we're going to the thinking machine, goes into overdrive, and our heart is actually in a lot of stress and anxiety, and we can't create from that place. Completely and utterly out of alignment.
That's that first exercise what we were saying. So it's obvious, and for me, I kind of feel like I should focus on sort of solving that, but in that first exercise what we done, I got to focus on something completely different.
You can feel it. You can feel the difference.
Okay, lovely. So let's now go into set B. So I just want you to place one of your hands over your heart, or both of them, whichever you like. One or two will do. And I just want you to close your eyes, and I want you to breathe into your heart center. Feel like you're just breathing straight into your heart center. And regarding this conundrum that you have, this problem, just ask your heart what your heart wants. What's in your heart? What would love do in this situation? And just let yourself get the answer from your heart. What would love do? What does your heart love? What would you love about this?
It's important to tune into and feel the emotion in your heart, and to ask, what action is required.
Yeah.
Okay, all done. So what was yours, Lou?
Well, if I tuned into my heart, I just would want to give my granddaughter a loving family environment. Even if it's only me and her, I want her to live with the love of a family member and to learn to love and receive love and give love. So even though it's daunting, my heart would like that.
Okay, who else? Ravida?
It's Jennifer. I don't know
Oh,
why.
I don't know what
Jen. Yeah,
Jen.
Jen. I don't know why it says Pura Vida. I can't remember. Obviously when I was
Ravida.
sorry.
Like, well, that's quite a name.
Pura vida is like pure water, isn't it, or something?
Yes.
No, pure life. Pure life.
Yeah. So I was in
Pura
Costa
vida.
Rica 2 years ago. So I obviously set it up there. I didn't
Okay.
know it was still there.
Oh,
So yeah, I just put I would love being out in nature, making friends with the doggies and meeting the owners and giving them little updates and feedback.
Isn't that much better than the first one? It's so lovely.
it's giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, me too. Just honestly, it went to the back of my neck. So it's,
Yeah.
I think that is because that would make you happy, right? When we connect and we're chatting to people and we're with animals, that's what makes us happy.
Yeah.
Other stuff just like, it's like, okay, well, the other stuff will just sort itself out. What's important is that I'm connecting with other humans, I'm connecting with animals.
Yeah.
So that's the vision you stay in. And nature. Yeah. And so then what does that compel you to, what action does that compel you to take in that vision, from that place, from that heart space?
Just to start taking like one step. So already I'm thinking of a couple of friends that could recommend write a little testimonial, because all you need is one customer, and if they're happy with you, then they'll recommend you to other people, hopefully. So yeah, just to start looking at images that I could use, and text, and thinking about a nice photograph and a testimonial of some sort, and then going from there.
And when you do that, step into this vision. So when you're going to put, when you're asking for a testimonial, or when you're writing some blurb, or just whatever you're doing that supports this, always step into your heart from this space, from this vision, from how you feel now. Because that's the energy that's going out into the world, into the environment. That's your communication with the people. They're energetically receiving that before they even know who you are.
Okay, I'll write that down. Thank you.
Alejandra?
All right. I felt it was easy I was like, oh, I'm in my heart. And I was like, okay, but address the question. And it was kind of like, I think it came to, like, I have a stupid little co-star astrology thing today that was like, let yourself be seen. And that's what I saw. That came to my heart. And then just like, I want to play a character. Just play a character. That's what's fun. And then try to, like, just remember, like, I get to play a character. With every audition, I get to make it my own and play a character, and just, like, leave it as that. So try to stay there. And then I started getting like, I'm not getting enough messages, and I started freaking out. But yeah.
I think the important thing there is that it felt different. You felt the disconnect when you were in your head, but you felt the connection when you were in your heart.
Yeah, it's all about where you're coming from, isn't it? Where you're coming from. Are you coming from your heart, what your heart wants, or are you coming from the rational mind that's going blah 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 blah, and this won't work and that won't work, and all of that.
Maybe I'll try the next.
It's really hard to override that, but we are light beings, we are beings of light, we are energy beings. And the more connected with your heart you are, the more energy, the more light your body takes in. And, and then when you're being a being of light, that's when things start to fall into place for you without you having to even really do that much to make it happen. Just take the obvious action steps.
And also because the information in your energy field has is instruction from your heart. So then as you are generating that, you are receiving the feedback from the environment, which is more aligned with what it is that you want to create, or the character you want to play. That will guide that will calm your nervous system down, that will get you into character, and you won't be in your head so much and making it so, because when you first spoke and said it felt, I could just hear it was so personal. You were taking everything so personally. And if you're playing a character, that's like the best way to get out of taking anything personally, is to go, I'm just a character. Whatever happens to this character is just to the character. It's not to me personally. Like Charlie Chaplin, he wasn't that scruffy old guy and the little, but he liked to play that character because it's well, any actor can just get out of their head, get out of that personal, that like being in the world in your personal capacity, which could come across as or whatever fears and doubts you have about yourself, that maybe you're not a good actor, you can get into character and become an amazing, incredible actor. So that's what's driving it, is our emotion and the energy in our fields. Our heart is a generator.
Yeah.
Thank you. Michelle?
So I actually got like something quite clear. Like I actually got focus on your land of dreams, and in particular travel. And that's something that's come up for me, that desire to do travel. But then when I look at my current reality, that financial situation comes up again. But and I've actually got a choice around. I haven't connected with my land of dreams for like ages, and so as I said recently, I got the pull, and then that just came through really clear. It was just like, and I think I've got a travel choice on there actually.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, just connect with that. Absolutely.
yeah,
Like Louise just, I mean, even if Louise had to hold that vision for 2 years, although along the way, lots of things, little miracles were actually happening.
Well, yeah.
But, it looks like you're not getting anywhere because it's the Fibonacci. The Fibonacci is like that spiral. It's like, it's naught and then it's one, it's naught. It's like, it's that for a long time. So it catches on, it goes one and two, and then two and two is four. So the spiral starts to gain momentum. It can feel like you're in one place for a long time. But that is, I mean, that's mastery, isn't it? That's what we here as human beings, is to master that journey. And it's very important that we allow our hearts to open up and to communicate with us. Otherwise, we're guiding it, and we are not really qualified to do that. We're not really the best, because of our past experiences. We're very limited in our visions, and the heart really is the master. So we have to surrender to the heart's desires, to ask what the heart truly wants, and to stay focused on that. Like every day, practice stepping into that vision. Michelle, practice stepping, connecting to your travel choice and how you're going to feel when you're there, and just be in the delight of it and the joy of it.
It's so important to feel the emotion of the end result of what you're going for. So and that all comes from the heart. When you're already joyful, when you already feel like you've got it, when you're already, exuberated. I don't know if that's, but you know what I mean. When you're exuberated, and when you're really already there, you've already got the gratitude, the joy, the love. That's what brings things in, because like attracts like in this universe. And if you're full of doubts and fears, you'll attract more of that. But if you're in love and joy and gratitude, even though nothing's happened yet, that's the trick, is being able to be happy about it before it happens. And
yes,
that's what makes it come.
yeah,
Yeah. And also because the mind and the body don't know that isn't real. So it's like a good example of that is when you're watching a movie or you're watching something on TV and it's scary, or fear is a big one, right? Because like we it's the one that sort of has the most impact. But something will happen, and it really is, that it's an actor, that there's a set, that there's cameras everywhere, that it's not real, but your body doesn't know that that's not real. Your body's releasing chemicals into your system. I mean, I normally scream at a movie, and I get such a fight. I actually scream, and you can feel it in your body for like a long time afterwards. Or even if you're watching a sad movie, you're sad.
I'm glad I don't go to the movies with you.
You sat up to a long time afterwards. You even tell your friends about the movie and what happened, and this is literally just make believe, like nothing's happened. But why has it affected you so much? So this is actually the trick, that you feel that feeling in your heart before it's even happened. So you're training your heart to recognize it, to know it, that it starts to generate it before it's happened. Your mind is where you create the pictures, and your mind is the electric. So there's like an electric magnetic signature that goes out into the unit, into the
universe.
No, into the field of quantum field. Sorry, into the quantum field where all possibilities exist. But if you can imagine it and if you can feel it, you're on that timeline. That is true for you. Your higher self is directing you, guiding. Your heart is working for you, with you. So
and the whole thing about a movie is a really good analogy as well, because if you're in a movie theater and all the audience are going through the ups and downs, the scary bits, they're getting scared, they're crying at the sad bits, they're laughing at the funny bits, But the people who made the movie, the director and the producer and the writer and the actors and all that, they're all just looking at going, wow, look at all that. That's amazing. What a great job we did. They're not judging. They're not laughing. They're not crying. They're not getting all caught up in it. They're just going, what a wonderful job we did. And that's like us with our lives. Actually, we look at our lives and we judge what we're doing, but we actually don't need to judge it because everything is a learning situation. And, you kind of have to get to that point where you just look at your life and say, what a bloody good job I'm doing. Because I'm learning, I'm alive, I'm here and I'm doing it.
Yeah,
But we make it mean something. We make it mean that we're not good enough. We make it mean that we're not worthy of it. We make it mean that, there's something wrong with us, that we haven't got the same things that other people have. And actually, all of that is just an illusion. It's an illusion. The truth is, we're divine creative beings here for an experience of 3D existence. And shit happens and nice things happens. And actually, it's all good because we're learning through every single moment and every single episode.
Yeah, and I think a big what I've learned in my time, knowing this work as well, is to drop judgments. It's the hardest thing for a human being to drop judgment. But in every moment, if you are asking what would love do, and if in every moment you are listening, hearing, and speaking from your heart, then I think you're going to, in my own experience, I've started to hear differently. When people speak to me, I hear differently. When I'm speaking from a different place in my, in my body, yes, but in my, from a place of non-judgment. I'm seeing from a place of non-judgment. I see the beauty. I stop immediately when I'm about to judge, when I'm about to get grumpy about something, or if I'm going to moan about something. Because all that is energy, all that is information that is going out and into your field. All the moaning, all the judgment, all the self-criticism, it's in your field. So it's a, going to have a much harder job trying to create when your field is polluted with a lot of judgments and criticism and self-loathing and deprecation. It's much easier to move through life and with life when you are speaking, listening, and hearing from your hearts, and also following your heart's desires, which is, what this session was about. There's so many components to that. And it's not an easy job when you first start because you were saying, you had that loud voice of the ego. We're so programmed to hear that. We're programmed to believe what we've been told about ourselves and what we even tell ourselves. But honestly, since I put my ears, my eyes, and my heart in my heart, it has literally transformed the way I just feel, and the way I'm seeing my reality, actually my current reality, and dropping judgments, just putting it down. And whatever is making my heart sing, I give that wings, so that's what I'm saying to my clients, put that down, and whatever makes your heart sing, your true desire, give that wings. Because that's being intentional.
Like that.
Thanks.
Okay. Anyone got anything they want to ask at all?
What is, maybe if you wish to, but share maybe just a takeaway, like a bit of gold or a takeaway, something that landed, maybe something that you did know, but you had, you were reminded of, or something you've just maybe heard, or something you're going to take away into your week.
Mine was just about, when you were saying about putting it all into your heart, like imagine like the ears, the mouth, that sort of thing. Because I'm quite like, I'm mainly in my head so much, so that's sort of like an easy way to sort of drop into my heart. And I just sometimes feel don't connect, and so it's just a good reminder to
Lovely.
Thank you, lady. Oh, Darling.
I was just gonna share when I was going into my heart, and it was like, I want to play characters. Also, dance, where for me, and I think for everyone, just feeling that is such an automatic, like, kind of just connection to your like sacral heart. Like it's such a like gets you out of your head, and it's such a heart opener that I feel like it's easy to remember, like, or at least like remember your energy, or like your energy field, and then that pulls in like, oh, this is what I like to do, or like this is what, so that was just like, oh right, that's what works for me, but I assume would probably work for everybody, because I feel like whenever I see people and they're like, no, I don't dance, or they keep themselves closed off, you're like, no, you're missing that connection. Like, you'll wake up things if you just let something go through you. So that was
Look, you know, the Marines, when they, you know why they sing when they, I mean, the Marines is a very tough, it's quite a tough gig, and they sing because it's telling the body, I am happy, I'm in a state of bliss, because otherwise the mind is going to be, oh my God, how many laps are we doing this? Like, how I've got to run with this backpack on my back. I've got to run into the cold sea. They sing coming out of the sea. They sing. They've got their songs.
Yeah.
And that's why they sing. Because it's actually programming the mind that I am in a state of euphoria.
That's
and the body. And that's how they can, well, it's one, obviously they're very fit, and there's lots of other methods. But even the African people in South Africa, when they like used to be working on the minds, and that you'd always hear them singing. They sing. And they sing together. So like they're connected with their song, they're connected in their hearts, and they can get through this terrible day. They can get through this terrible experience. If they're all just connected with their voice, with song, because it's euphoric, even if their situation is shit. So yeah, singing and dancing, absolutely.
Yeah. So if there's nothing else anyone wants to add, I've got a lovely little meditation that we can do to finish off with, if you'd like to.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so just take a moment to, be sitting comfortably, make sure you're comfy, and close your eyes and just take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just feel your body relaxing. Feel your body as you breathe, breathing into your heart. And when you breathe out, just relax your body a little bit more. Each out breath, your body relaxes. And you just set the intention that it's time to change your energy. The energy of a new life. Okay, so just breathing and relaxing and choosing to change your energy to the energy of a new life. Just feel it in your heart. Feel the energy of a new life. If you change your energy, it changes your life. You've got to feel the energy of a new life already in your heart. And listen to your heart. Slow down the beat of your heart and listen to what it's telling you. Breathing all the time, breathing into your heart and staying relaxed and listening to your heart, and ask your heart, what does it love? What does it need? What does it need support with? Just experience it and become it. become the energy of a new life. You have to fall in love with your new life. Really fall in love with it, with this new energy. And choose to become more of this new energy. And keep feeling that in your heart. What is it that inspires you? Feel it. Feel what inspires you in your heart. And become it. Be moved by it. Feel what inspires you and your dreams of a new life. Feel it. Really feel it in your heart. Open your heart to this new life. Breathe in the energy of a new life. Breathe it into your heart and exhale. And there you can feel the energy in your heart. Breathe in a little more energy into your heart and exhale and feel that energy. With each breath, feel the energy growing. That energy in your heart, the energy of life in your heart. And feel it. Experience it all around you and within you. And tune in to the energy of your new life. Be moved by it. And open up and let your heart be filled with light. The inspiration of light in your heart. Just remember, if you change your energy, you change your life. Within you and all around you. You change within, and everything around you changes as well. Just open up to this energy of a new life. This new inspiration. Listen to your heart. And thank your heart for being there all the time, beating without you even ever having to ask. Give thanks to it. And when you're ready, bring your awareness back to a new body, a new environment, and to a whole new time. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, inspired by life, inspired by your heart. And remember this feeling. Take it with you into your life.
Thanks, Lou. It's lovely, beautiful.
Okay. Thank you everybody for coming. It's been lovely to meet you, Jen. Lovely to see Alejandra again. Is it Alejandra or Is that right?
Alejandra.
Alejandra. I thought that. Alejandra.
You're saying it perfectly.
Yay! I'm getting my Spanish on.
Thank you all. Thank you.
And thank you, Michelle, for coming. It was lovely to hear you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And if you want to come next time, we'd love to see you back.
Okay. Do your set A and set B and tune in every week and every day to what your heart desires and build up that trust and that faith in your hearts. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Really good session. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.